live and direct, answer your questions, and also give you some insightful information in the car world. And kama kawa kama dawa, I'll be your host, Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. And you know how we normally start this show. We start by you guys telling us where you're watching us from na mnatuma salamu. Well, before people start checking in, let's go through what the events of the week. Well, on Monday watu walisema tusiende kazi, but anyway, we still we are still here, we are still pushing on. Interesting things, we had a review of the new Land Cruiser 79 series, and for the first time the 79 series is coming with an automatic transmission and the smallest engine yet. Yes, the 1GD FTV. Kuna wase wanasema that the new Land Cruiser 79 is an expensive Hilux. Others are saying that this is the best Land Cruiser yet. So what do you think? Ukiandika pale comment tuambie, what do you think of a Land Cruiser 79 with a 2800cc engine? Well, the other thing is that we managed to deliver a few more units from Mombasa, a Mazda CX-5 and a Golf variant. And I got some short content for you guys pale on my social media platforms and also on the Konnekt social media platforms. The other thing is, leo pia tumetuma gari huko Chebarbar, huko Eldoret, the city of champions, Subaru XV, and the Subaru XV is becoming a very popular buy amongst Kenyans. So why is the XV becoming popular? It's becoming popular because of, one, the ground clearance, and two, it's basically an Impreza that has been lifted for off-road capabilities. It comes with all-wheel drive standard, and it comes in two engine options, the 1600cc FB16 and the 2-liter FB20, and that is for the second generation GT series of the Subaru XV. Sawa sawa. So those are the highlights, some of the highlights, and we are going to discuss them as the show goes on. But also I would like to remind you, before I can read where you're watching us from and your salamus, kumbuka kuna kitu pale inaitwa super chat. Sawa. So ukiwa na swali unaweza cheza na super chat, alafu tutakimbia kwa hiyo swali and we are going to answer it as we are going to give it a priority. But anyway, Konnekt is free for everyone, na we value you and we value your feedback. So wacha tuingie hapa kwa comment section tuone kama wazee wazito washaingia. We have Sir Fred watching akiwa kwa matatu ya kwenda Joska. Karibu sana. Morioki Marigi anasema tuko tu hapa kwa fridge. Wase wa fridge hao ni wase wa Kemende, Limuru, Kijabe. Tunawajua. We have Antis Mods ako ndani. Nauliza is VP David Minor. The only double cab you have reviewed is the 2023 Isuzu D-Max. Oh, okay, hiyo nini? Steve Eric is tuned in from Qatar. Watu wako wapi? Watu bado hawajaingia bana. Tumeni hizo salamu. Sir Fred, hiyo matatu ya Joska wanasema nini? Ni NQR33 Blue Power ama ni gani? Tuambie hapo bana. We have Andrew E anasema tuko site. Legend Roberts anasema salamu kutoka Thika Makongeni. Watu wa Thika 237. You know, the funny thing is that kuna wase enzi zetu wakianguka KCPE ulikuwa unaulizwa na your relatives ama your uncle, umepata marks ngapi, and you tell them Thika, yani 237. So it's always good to see guys from 237 here. Cromwell Sunday anasema I'm already in class for the lessons. Karibu sana Cromwell. Prince Albert locked in kama kawa, watching from county number 5 Lamu County. Salimia watu wa Witu, salimia watu wa Mpeketoni, salimia watu wa pale Hindi, salimia wasewa zile area za Mkunumbi. Unajua mimi naweza kuwa ule jamaa wa kujua barabara. We have Cyrus Kibe from Moya Kirinyaga County. Moya ati mlifanya nini Monday? Nasikia Moya Moya mlifanya nini? Samuel Mugai is hey Wakabi watching from Keno, niko ndani. Salimia watu wa Keno. Jesh Homan kama kawaida is glad to be here, and we have Ian Cliff from Nakuru who is locked in. So as more guys come in, I would like us to discuss a very vital question in the car ownership journey, and the question is, when does a car become a financial mistake? So as you ponder on that, kuna jamaa pale anaitwa Peter Ibutu who is watching us from Keses Eldoret. Na watu wa Keses Eldoret and the entire Eldoret region, kumbukeni we have a garage to serve you. Neon Mobility iko pale Pioneer karibu na A to Z. Ukiwa hapo utaona mahali kuna Neon Mobility imeandikwa in bold. So hapo utapata mzee Ezekiel and he will be ready to service your car and serve you while maintaining quality standards. Steven Omondi from Kisumu Dala. Nimwambia tu wasalimie watu wa Peng ya Masaria pale. Golden Chef Kenya kutoka Rongai. We have Juma Karisa from Eriruta in his akona notebook yake. And we have Nautical Novice who is locked in from Kanairo. Sawa. So sawa naona wasee pale, hata hapa naona Tom ameingia. Tom pia is in the room, but turudia hapa. When does a car become a financial mistake? A vehicle can become a financial mistake in very many ways, and the one I want to talk about today is when you get yourself into a credit arrangement that is too expensive. For instance, kuna watu huku wanajiita, they call themselves microfinance institutions. They are not really microfinance institutions because microfinance institutions are not what these guys are. Because what we can call these guys are more of Shylocks. One, they have very expensive interest rates. We were just talking about that here in the room before the show started. And why am I saying their rates are quite expensive? Because you will find that pale kwa fine print tunaambiwa interest ni 4% per month ama 5% per month, and that means the interest alone might be more expensive than the car in the long run. So that is why we always vouch for, you see, kama uko na so nne, it's either you buy a car that is worth that mistakes you can make. Because if you can buy, I always, whenever we are having consultation sessions, I like telling our clients that there is a very big difference between buying a car and affording a car. Because remember, whenever you buy a car, there are the fixed costs and there are the recurrent costs. What are some of the recurrent costs? Some of the recurrent costs include fueling. We also have insurance cost, we have maintenance cost, and we also have legal costs. Sawa. So what is, nasikia sauti imeenda, but sound is back. We have sound back. So Patrick Njeru naambiwa sauti imerudi. So now at least tumeelewana mahali tumefika, but now let me take a few questions here. Jomo is saying amepata live leo, and he's saying a car becomes a financial mistake if it is a used German machine. Sijui ni akina, how many guys can actually concur with what Jomo is saying, but well, it does make sense, because most of the, sometimes if you're not careful while buying a used European vehicle, you might end up with a money pit. Yeah, so whenever you're buying a used European vehicle, I'm not saying that they'll necessarily be bad, but you need to be extremely careful. Rokas anasema the show continues, more grace na wisdom to the wise man Wakabi. Asante sana. Steven Zachary is saying, can the Land Cruiser 100 series be a financial mistake? Well, we know Land Cruisers to be the most reliable vehicles in the face of the earth. However, if you cannot run them, there's a certain discussion that people never want to have about Land Cruisers, and that is Land Cruisers are very, very expensive to maintain. Yes, Land Cruisers are very expensive to maintain. So if you cannot afford to maintain a Land Cruiser, yes, it might be reliable, but when it breaks something, it's not cheap. Especially, and this is especially for guys who own 80 series, 100 series. and even the 79 series. Vitu zake si bei rahisi. They are not cheap at all. So you might afford to buy the vehicle, but when it's going to break something, trust me, you're going to be charged an arm and a leg. And one of the reasons why I think maintaining Land Cruisers is very expensive is because they rarely break parts. So once kuna kitu iko na demand, the demand is going to be quite high. So if a Land Cruiser can be a financial mistake, it would be if you cannot afford to maintain that vehicle. So Steve Zachary, I hope tume nini, I hope tumeelewana hapo. Okay, Josh Homan is bringing up a very interesting conversation here, and he's saying recent German cars are a mistake. Older ones are like Swiss watches. I agree, because if you own, say, a Mercedes Benz W202, you can, or a W2 to 202, 203, 210. Those ones, well, they were built, they were quite solid, and they would stand the test of time. So yes, Josh Homan actually has a point. Most of the time you'll have problems with the modern German cars. Yeah, but you see, the older ones were built at an era where manufacturers were competing not on the basis of how fast their car is or how fuel economical their car is. No, they were competing on the basis of how long can your car last, or how long can the vehicle serve you. Uh, we have now let's go down upper juu, and as we talk about financial mistakes, David Kamau Maina is saying between the 2023 Isuzu D-Max V-Cross 3.0 TD and the 2023 Toyota Hilux Legend 2.8 liter GD6, which one is better in terms of comfort, power, and overall performance? Well, David Kamau Maina, this is a very tough question, and it's a question that also came my way today, katika pilika zangu za siku. And if you see, whenever you're comparing a Hilux to a D-Max, you can never say, or you can never ask which one is better. These are two very capable vehicles. The question would be, where are you using yours? One, Isuzu is known for building some very reliable engines, and so is Toyota. However, Toyota, with their global GD6, global diesel 6 engines, there's something that they have achieved, and it's good that you have talked about the 1G DFTV. And so when the 1G DFTV was being developed, and I must say I'm very privileged to have been there when the 1GD was officially launched in Kenya. That was in 2016. There's something that Toyota did on these engines, and that is employing the use of a technology that is called STEC. Now, STEC is basically a superior thermal efficiency technology, and the 1G DFTV and the 2G DFTV, these are the engines that succeeded the 1KD and the 2KD. Well, these two engines, the thermal efficiency can be capped at 44%, and these are some of the most thermal efficient engines in the world. However, allow me to digress. The most thermal efficient engine globally comes from China, and it comes from a truck manufacturer. It's actually a Weichai engine, and it's simeona hizi malori za China. So Weichai build the world's, currently they hold the record for the world's most thermal efficient engine. Yani, to show you how serious this is, the Chinese have an engine that is more thermal efficient than Volvo, than Scania, than Mercedes-Benz Actros, than MAN, even more thermal efficient than, the European truck market and the American truck market. So when you see Chinese trucks out here, know that the Chinese are not here to play. So now let's go back to the Hilux, the 1GD and the 2GD. So these are very thermal efficient engines, and they have very good fuel economy. They combine a very rare blend of power and performance. Let's shift over to Isuzu. Isuzu is also known for building very reliable engines. Yes, the only problem I have experienced with some of these Isuzus, especially the manual transmission, is that if you give these cars to a rookie, well, your clutch is going to wear out very quickly. Yeah, but generally Isuzus are very, 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 very capable as well. So if we compare the V-Cross 3.0 TDI and the GD6 2.8, I must say that that would go down to personal preference, because if you look at the V-Cross, it does not come in manual, it comes in an automatic transmission, a 6-speed Revtronic automatic transmission, I presume. So it all narrows down to how do you use the vehicles, because there are areas where the Isuzu is stronger than the Hilux, and there are other areas where the Hilux is stronger compared to the Isuzu. Pole sana nimeongea kuhusu pickups. I love pickups, we can talk about them all day. So Safred alisema niyo umesema, alisema ako ndani ya Super Metro pale. Collins anasema anyway gari ni Toyota. Let's continue. Cyrus Kibe is saying, usinikumbushe, I failed to adhere to your advice and bought a Mitsubishi Pajero with a 4M40 engine. It gives me 8 kilometers per liter. It's an onion to me, and I'll visit you soon for diagnosis. Cyrus, karibu sana, but in as much as it's not very human to say this, but sinilikuambia. So don't worry, karibu sana, kuja pale Prince Drive Garage. We'll look at the vehicle and we'll see where we can help. So Josh Human is saying that fact will surprise a lot of people. Yes, and I totally agree. So David Kamau Maina is saying, please, Wakabi, please review the 2023 Isuzu D-Max Kipchoge edition. Yes, we are working on that. And but my opinion about the Kipchoge edition is this. It's a vehicle that we should be proud of. It's a vehicle that we are happy to have it named after one of our greatest athletes in Kenya today. However, when it comes to usability, what makes the Kipchoge edition special? Is it the Eliud Kipchoge signature? Tuambie hapa kwa comment, sababu nikianza kuichambua kidogo tunaweza kosa tofauti ya the Eliud Kipchoge edition and the highest stream level of the D-Max in South Africa. So hiyo tutaongea siku ingine. Sitaki kuongea hapa, sitaki kutupa mawe kwa police station. Si mmesikia maneno ya anyway, wacha tuache hiyo maneno hapa. Golden Chef Kenya is asking, Subaru Outback PP9 and Subaru Legacy BR5, which one would you recommend? Well, I feel Golden Chef Kenya, comparing the Outback and the Legacy is like comparing apples to oranges, especially the BP9 and the BR5. If you are comparing the BP5 to the BR5, we would have at least a basis of comparison. But one thing I'll tell you is that I don't really like the BR9 because it was the BR5, which is a Legacy. So the BR9 is an Outback, the BR5 is a Legacy. So the Outback is a station wagon, off-road station wagon that is derived from the Legacy, and the Legacy is you can say, the foundation of the Outback. So the BP9 was thirsty. We can say it had a drinking problem. However, in the quest to achieve fuel economy, the BR9 was affected in this way. The BR9 was, say, the middle child, because it was a transitional generation. We had some with the EJ series of engines, we had some with the newer FB and FB generation, the F generations of engines that are chain driven and not the ones that are belt driven. Also, with the BR9 and the BR5, we saw the introduction of Subaru's Lineatronic CVT on Subaru models, to be precise, the Outback and the Legacy. So the BR9 ndio iko na variants hizi zote. Zingine ziko na, ama BR5 zingine ziko na EJ20, zingine EJ25, zingine FB20, zingine FB25, zingine ziko na automatic transmission, zingine ziko na CVT transmission. So it's a vehicle that is hapo katikati, and that is one of the reasons why I have never, okay, I don't think it's the best looking Legacy though. In my personal opinion, the best looking Legacy is the BP5. Mnaweza tuambia wase wa Masubaru akina Eric wa Identity, you can tell us which do you unaniunga mkono hapo. So if you're asking me between the BR5 and the BP9, well, the BP9 might be older, but it's more versatile because it has better ground clearance. John Kangosing is saying, hi Eric, I have seen there is a 1.4T Vitara all grip 6-speed manual. What are your views on it? I love it. Bwana Cargo, yeah, that is a very, Suzuki's have never gone wrong. In fact, there is one of those that we are importing. So ka gangari na content yetu utaweza kuiona ikifika pale Mombasa. Sawa sawa. Samuel Mungai is asking, Wakabi, between the Subaru Forester SG5 and the Subaru Forester SJ5 and the X-Brake, which is the best to go in terms of reliability? So Samuel Muigai, there's something I would like you to be clear on. You see, with we have the SJG, the SJ5 to be specific, also has an X-Brake edition, and the SK9 also has an X-Brake edition. So which X-Brake edition are we talking about? Is it the one on the SJG, or is it the one on the SK series of the Subaru Forester? Tuambie hapo, nitaona comment yako. Na wase, kumbukeni kuna super chat pale, so cheza na super chat tafadhali. Tunawaomba cheza na super chat pale. We have Sami Kamau is asking, can a CX-5 2018 diesel be a financial mistake? Well, it would be if you misuse that vehicle. You see, Mazda's Skyactiv D engine is one of the, you see, it's affected by regular washing na salty water. Salty water does not only affect the paint, it also affects the body. And you know, salty water is a catalyst for rust. So before you buy one of those cars, tafadhali iangalie sana for rust. If the paint has been degraded because of the salty water, you can try to buff it first. Or if you do not buff it first, what we can do is you can also give the car a fresh repaint. Sindio? The other solution is having kutengeneza kuweka gari PPF to protect it from the external to prevent it from the external environmental condition. Music Store is saying just start over the CX5 thing. So I was saying about the CX5, I was saying okay, sawa, wacha nirudie hii pande ya Mazda Skyactiv engines. I was saying the Mazda Skyactiv D engine is like a Kenyan politician. One moment it's being judged negatively, the other moment it's being celebrated. So, but what happens if you own a Skyactiv D, drive the car and then be very keen on the engine oil you use to service the vehicle. That is something that is very, very, very important. However, whether it becomes a financial mistake or not is entirely up to you. And entirely up to you means tuanze kwa the point when you import the car. Kuna CX5 mingi sana tumeona they have been imported with blown head gaskets. So many. Zingine zinakuja siku mbili zimekula oil pump. So the quality or the longevity of the vehicle starts from when you import the vehicle. Victor Mark amecheza pale na super chat, anasema vipi stuck between a Nissan Skyline and the Crown. So Victor Mark, when you talk about the Nissan Skyline, there are so many variants of the Skyline. We have the one that is a Mercedes Benz, the 2.0 GTT, and we also have the 250 GT, and we also have one with a VQ35 V6 engine. When we shift towards the Crown, well, the Crown, these days we have a Crown hybrid and now the normal turbocharged Toyota Crown. So it's good to be very specific. However, if you're looking at fuel economy, you can go for the hybrid Crown. These days, I believe there are Skylines that have a hybrid or something. Yeah, I think there are some that are hybrid. So again, with you can never the Nissan Skyline is one of those Nissans that is actually reliable. Yeah, and it's a direct competitor to the Crown. But for me personally, I would go for the Crown. But I was a fan of the big old V6 engines, and if I'm going for the Fuga, personally, I'm not saying the 2.0 GTT is bad, but kwangu mimi, as Eric Wakabi, I would go for the 250 GT or the one with the VQ35. It does not have very good fuel economy, but it is a vehicle that, if you're a driver at heart, if you're a fan of big naturally aspirated engines, it's going to thrill you in the way you drive. Peter Komba is saying, can a Honda Fit hybrid be a financial mistake compared to the 1300cc Mazda Demio? Well, the Honda Fit hybrid can be a financial mistake if the DCT gearbox starts becoming problematic, or the they don't have a conventional brake master cylinder or brake booster. So your hybrid sometimes inasumbua because of the actuating and all that kind of stuff. It's quite complex, and if you're changing it, it can be quite expensive. Well, it does save you a lot of fuel when it comes to operating that car on a daily. And even the hybrid unit of the Honda actually makes some of the most reliable hybrid units in the world. But the major setback of the Fit hybrid is the DCT transmission, and now the brake, let me call it the brake booster in quotes, for that has been hybridized. So the non-hybrid Mazda Demio is smaller, and it might not be as fuel economical as the Honda Fit hybrid, but kabla mkosane na hiyo gari, mtakuwa mmekaa sana, because those petrols are literally bulletproof. They might not have as much torque as their diesel counterparts, but those 1300, kama wewe ni mtu wa point A to point B, mtu hataki kusumbuliwa na gari at all, mtu hataki kuwa na sleepless nights because of the vehicle, then I think the 1300cc Mazda Demio will do the trick. Naona sound imerudi Okay, sawa. Do we still have a problem with sound? Confirm. Nani anasema tuko na shida na sound tena? Okay. Julius Gitau ama Tashman anasema, hey Wakabi, practice yangu 26 haichomi. Please advise on the best spark plugs for it. Lazima the best spark plugs toke sifao ama ni scam. Well, the problem with spark plugs is in the Kenyan market is we tend to have so many counterfeit spark plugs. But if you go to Sifao, chances are you might get the genuine ones. But to be honest, and we are going to have a show about that, getting genuine spark plugs in Kenya is a big problem. And not only genuine spark plugs. In fact, after getting genuine brake pads is also a huge problem. Sawa. K. Mbugwe is saying, I have a triple S U12 with double rows of spark plugs. Hiyo inaitangwa ile ya dual ignition. I'm intending to use the second row of, to put injectors as I Okay, we are working on it. We are working on it. Tafadhali. Okay, I hope now we can continue. Mashari is saying, I can confidently say that the Toyota Aqua as the most reliable car. Currently, say something, Eric. Aquas are good cars. I cannot say they are bad cars. Stegra Hotel Limited. Naona he's typing while deleting. Keimbu wanasema rudia hapo kwa SS, sauti imepotelea hapo. So what I was saying about the triple S Atesa is that one, if I were you, I would not touch it. I would let it remain stock. And I asked which engine does it have? Does it have the CA18 engine? Nikasema uniambie hapo kwa comments. Hesbon Brown anasema from North Carolina ako ndani hadi mwisho. Thank you so much Hesbon. Toriko anasema it's back. So Harun Kimathi is saying, Harun Kimathi is in Japan. Please tell me whether I used Prius 2013 would be problematic. I can purchase it cheap, very cheap here. So Harun, if you're in Japan, Priuses are quite reliable. As long as the battery health is okay, you can buy it. But know that it cannot be shipped to Kenya. So you cannot import that 2013 Prius into the country. Haya. Okay. Vox the boss anasema, Eric, please advise on the best car as a person working from home, looking for a weekend vehicle for town drive and also can take me to Ushago where the terrain is not good. Mimi nakuambia Subaru XV. Yo, without thinking. Subaru XV. Yo, you can, for what you want, a Subaru XV will do you wonders. EJ is saying the Nissan Skyline 250 GT is a good idea juu Mark-X imekuwa na jina mbaya hapa nje. Sasa has a way of making their vehicles comfortable. Tuendelee. David Kamau is asking, why do even diesel Prados feel underpowered unlike the Fortuner? David Kamau, one thing I'll tell you, diesel Prados are not underpowered. And most of the time they'll run on the same engine with the Fortuners. I think it's all in how you drive the vehicle. Pia ukiendesha, in case you drive, say, a Toyota Hiace with a 2.8 the 2.8 liter 1GD and you drive the Prado with the same engine, there'll be a different feel because the gearing is different, the body is different, the weight is different, and even the tune of the engine is also different. So, because even if you look at the power ratings of those vehicles, you'll find that they have different power ratings, and that is because of the ECU tune that these vehicles get. However, with the 1GD, you can tune that engine to crazy levels. Yes. Stegra Hotel was asking, do we have genuine shooting coils in Kenya? Hiyo swali ni ngumu sana bwana Stegra. So Jomo pale, hiyo swali ngumu, but mostly shooting coils go for ex-Japan, just to be sure. The ex-Japan ones at least give you some guarantee. Let's see who else. Jomo is saying, Jomo hapa anacheza na super chat pia anasema, any idea duty ya Alfa Romeo Julia haiko kwa CRSP? Tom, kama haiko kwa CRSP tunafanya nini? Bas, unaleta gari inaingia pale KRA, unafanya kitu inaitwa valuation. Na unajua sasa shida ya valuation wakati mwingine kama agent wako si mzuri inaweza kupatia surprise. So DJ Googs is saying, which is the best between hybrid and unhybrid? Well, that depends on the person buying the vehicle. Kipkoech, hi Eric, is Mitsubishi Shogun reliable? It depends on which engine it is running on. Leo watu hata tumeanza kuongea kuhusu hizi maneno ya financial mistake. So Jay's Garage, by the way, Jay's Garage is one of our good engineers anakuanga pale Dagoretti corner. He does fabrication ya adapter plates, so in case you want to have a custom suspension, you want to have some wheel spacers, you want to adapt a gearbox, a turbocharger, Jay's Garage is the guy to go. And he's asking, how is the Subaru BH5 wagon ya 2001 to 2005 models? They look very good in terms of consumption, reliability, and some performance. The 2-liter NA has about 129 HP. BH5s are actually very nice. I have very good memories of BH5s, but siku hizi kupata parts za BH5, especially body parts, imekuwa challenge kidogo. So Nautical Novice was asking, hey Eric, between an Audi A4 B9 and a Crown Athlete, which is a better financial decision? Now, that depends on how much money you have. Truth be told, the Crown will have an easier time with the Crown. It's quite a simple vehicle, nothing to break down, nothing much to break down. See, unlike the Audis are thrilling to drive. They are quite economical on fuel, and they have sophisticated tech. So, and that is where the Crown beats it, because with the Crown, if you're looking at a vehicle that is reliable, a vehicle that is not as expensive to maintain, you see, with the A4 kidogo kidogo umepitia kwa maji, steering rack imechapa. With the Crown you do. Who else? Who else? Who else? Julius Anari is asking W204 versus W205 in terms of maintenance. Hey, bana, Julius W205 maintenance yake iko juu. Online Academy is saying Nissan B12 carburetor versus Mazda 323 carburetor. Hey. These cars were built reliable, but both of them now, hizi gari mbili umetaja hapa zilikuwa na shida moja, one common problem, and that common problem was the chassis. Now, the common problem between the B12 and the 323 was that sometimes gari ilikuwa inaenda inapanua hapa mbele, drive shaft zinachomoka. So the solution was mostly to put in what is called a strut at the front, so that the frame can be a little bit more rigid. But generally, they were good cars. I have owned the 323. It's a fun car to drive, and yeah, it has that good smell, yeah, uze, and that kind of makes it, for any person who has interacted with carburetors before, driving these cars will give you that nostalgia ya siku za kitambo. So Jenga was saying I had something about the XV. The XV is actually, it's reliable, it's tough, it's spacious, but it's driven via Subaru's Lineatronic CVT. It's not fast, but again, fast is relative. To some people it's fast, but it's not very fast. But it's a car that will get the job done. It's also not the most economical in fuel, but it will not fail you. Kipkocher, definitely be more reliable, but again, they are a bit lazy compared to the diesel, because the diesel has a lot of torque, and also Itel Writers anasema nini? Ako wapi? Oh, saying Bwana Sike, hebu tueleze story ya Motohani, kwa sababu a simple Google search inasema ni mbaya kutumia. I will answer your question by giving you a small story. Long time ago, when I used to interact with deeply with the people who operate matatus. Whenever a vehicle would start losing oil and you want to sell your matatu, what you would do, you would just put in a dose of that in the engine, and the engine oil would thicken, and gari ingeacha kukunywa oil, alafu sasa mtu angekuja anunue. Yes, mchezo wa town huo. Karota Uganda is here. Karibu sana Karota Uganda. Thank you so much. Naambiwa msee wa sound leo ametuangusha. What is happening? Do we have good sound now? Sawa, okay. Sawa. Sorry for that. The multiverse talk anasema according anasema XV, RVR, Escudo. Those are I haven't mentioned in this class which one is more reliable, juu sina namba ya any mechanic, and second, which is more fuel efficient. Now the Escudo with the 1.6 is quite economical on fuel. It's also quite reliable. The RVR is quite slow, quite reliable, but you see, among these subcompact SUVs, the Escudo will win because one thing, it has an advantage of the gearbox because it runs on a 6-speed automatic transmission. We have Lilin Events. Hello, would you advise me on buying the 2018 Nissan X-Trail as a first-time car? Peter from Kitui. Apana, I would not. Hi with the CK. What would you say is a good price for a direct import for the 2019-2020 Suzuki Baleno or Toyota Starlet? Well, Bwana Otieno, I think with around 1.5 you would get one of those, a clean one, grade fiti sana na itakufikia vizuri. For more information on that, kindly drop a WhatsApp message on the number on your screen. Sawa sawa. Itel Writers anasema financial ako wapi? Tycoon unasema nini? I'm looking for There's a question that has disappeared there. Oh, Itel Writers is saying subscribe for suspension system ya BMW monthly. Apo Itel Writers, I can neither deny or agree. James Moller, kindly advise me of Forerunner 4th gen having issues with my 4-wheel drive actuator. James Moller, that one would need to visit a garage. Yeah, some of those things cannot be diagnosed without getting to see the car and getting to see where the problem actually is. Emmanuel Kahungu is saying, Tycoon swali yako ni gani? Tycoon is saying I've skipped his question. Tycoon ako wapi? Where is Tycoon? Okay. So, Isaac Thiongo is saying, is it advisable to buy a 1.90 Di 2004? A Skoda with a 1.90 Di? Those 1.90 Dis were actually quite reliable, but I would advise you to thoroughly inspect the vehicle before you can buy it. Who else? So Ronnie the Clint is asking, hey Eric, I watched the episode where you recommended insurance companies. Oh, you mentioned, yeah, body wrap. Does the same apply to when you upgrade wheels from 15 to 17 inches? One thing I'll tell you about underwriters is whenever you make a modification to your vehicle, tafadhali, make sure you inform your underwriter. Make sure you inform your underwriter so that those particular details and even the details of modification can be noted and they can acknowledge that wanajua umefanya hiyo, sababu small mistakes can actually cost you big when it comes to compensation. Tycoon anauliza between Excel T30 and Mark II ni gani sio financial mistake? Reliability. Tycoon hizo magari mbili unajua ziko kwa ligi tofauti sana. T30 is a crossover SUV, Mark II is a sedan. T30 4 cylinder, Mark II 6 cylinder. T30 transverse mount, Mark II longitudinal mount. Tofauti ni mingi sana. I don't think we can compare them. Sawa. So Golden Chef Kenya is saying Subaru Exiga nayo, would you advise? Subaru Exigas are basically Subaru Outbacks, and Ronnie the Clint naona amecheza na super chat pale. Thank you so much Ronnie. DJ Googs anasema hi, buying a Honda Fit hybrid and a Toyota Vitz than hybrid 1000cc for family and taxi, which one is not a financial mistake? So DJ Googs, one thing is it will depend on how well you take care of the vehicle. But if you're in Lamu, I would advise you to go the Vitz direction. Korir Gideon, which is the best NZD 2000? So Korir, hapa I think hiyo swali, the newer the better. Mary Heru, Honda Civic 8th Gen 2010, what do you think? They are really nice cars. Vox the Boss anasema umesema Excudo haitanilalisha kwa barabara, nipe disadvantage yake basi juu hakuna bibi mzuri. Disadvantage yake ni the getting parts for the Excudo, they are not as, especially body parts and some of the parts like drive shafts, zile za ndani, they are not as easy to come around as hizo gari zingine. So that's the disadvantage ya hii gari. Tech Savvy Daily anasema any problem with the Daihatsu Move 2016 appear it's efficient. It's a nice little car. Emmanuel Kahungu, Volvo V40 ni mbaya kama fast car owner. Thanks. The Volvo V40, what I can say is it all lies in how well you take care of the vehicle. And these days there's a growing Volvo community, so you can be part of it. And I'm sure with such a community, you will not go wrong with that vehicle. Karota Uganda is saying, please family like the broadcast. And Karota Uganda, very soon I'm coming to your place. So also Karota, by the way, please feel free to drop a WhatsApp message. I would like to have a discussion with you as well. Denzel Opakas anasema kiongozi Imprezas 2014 to 2015 good deal. Yeah, they are not bad. Sound is gone again. Herimeru anasema I'll be coming for a pre-purchase with you guys next week. Nitakumbusha this is for discount. Yeah, so Mary, asante sana, nashukuru sana. We'll be looking forward for a pre-purchase inspection. So guys, allow us to wrap up. Pole sana, there has been a sound problem here and there, but we'll be back next week to answer these questions. And also remember, we have a strategic partnership on direct importation with Grande Motor Imports, and we are continuing to deliver units. Sawa sawa. So it's 9:05, but next week we are going to work on sound. Actually, we are going to get new mics so that we can get to you loud and clear. Sawa sawa say. So I hope it has been an insightful session, and thank you so much for bearing with us even with a small sound hit. And see you next week. And we have a very interesting episode coming up on Monday. We drove the Trooper to Marsabit, and we have a very interesting episode lined up for you. So it's good night from the team here, and see you next Wednesday. But Monday, remember, kuna episode moto sana. Asante sana guys.